Hey guys, Marsengan here, bringing you another Dragon Ball Z Dokkan battle video, and so today we are going to do the team building guide for the AGL LR Gohan EZA. I mentioned this at the beginning of the Cell one, but basically just like the Broly and Gogeta ones, you can use either of these LRs to very good effect in the other Extreme Z battles. So the best thing to do is probably to watch both these guides. Obviously, you know, I've got to show my own videos, so watch both the guides, and then depending on which is going to be your best team, then you would do that EZA first, because then EZAing that unit is obviously going to give you a huge benefit to the other one. Like, for example, if you do this one first and then EZA your Gohan, then obviously he's going to tear through the Cell EZA, because the Cell EZA weakness is Kamehameha. And for Gohan, the weakness is Android/Cell Saga. Now, the thing about this one, I think maybe it would be better to do the Gohan one first. Or sorry, maybe even the Cell one first, because this category is quite limited in terms of the number of LRs that are available. Because remember, for an LR EZA, we have our specialized category that is going to be good at tanking the attacks from the boss, but there's no typing that gets damage reduction. You can use Super or Extreme, but you need to have the link Legendary Power active if you want to do the big damage. Now, I said this in the other the Cell guide as well, but you can do these LR EZAs with a full team of TURs. I have done this before, so it is doable. It just takes longer, right, because you're not doing the bonus damage. And there's less LRs available in this category. Now, obviously, one of the ways you could build a very strong team, even though it will include a lot of non-LRs, is to go with a lot of the Cell units. So the Kamehameha category being so effective, maybe it will be easier to do Cell's EZA first, because you have a lot more options, and then go ahead and use the EZA'd Cell for this Gohan one. But obviously it's up to you, the order that you guys want to do it in. You might not have one of these two units, so if you have one of them and not the other, it definitely makes sense to do their EZA first, get them EZA'd, and then you can just beat the opposite event even though you don't have the unit, because then you'll have the medals ready for when you do eventually pull them. So, as always with my team building guides, we're going to go through some top picks and honourable mentions. If there's any units you think I missed out or should have talked more about, let me know down below in the comments section. And if you do find the guide helpful, do hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you are new. So, jumping straight in, I already mentioned Cell. Obviously, if you do EZA Cell first, then he has an Android/Cell Saga leader skill of 4 key and 180%. So, pretty much going to be the best leader to use for this. If you want to run as many LRs as possible, you can run a bunch of Cell units and they'll all fit very well together. Now, if you haven't EZA'd him, but you want to do this one first anyway, his leader skill is obviously still going to be very useful, right? 4 key, HP and attack 150, defense 170. You're still going to be able to make a very good team out of this. Pre-EZA, Cell is pretty weak, especially in his first form. But remember that his evolution is when HP is 30% or less with no turn restriction. So if you get to the later stages of the EZA and this guy's getting hit quite hard, then you can potentially transform like the next time he comes around. So this guy could still be worth using pre-EZA, especially as the leader, and especially if you are running a team full of Cells. So he is definitely worth considering. And then obviously if you EZA'd him first, even if you don't end up using him as the leader, he will absolutely destroy this EZA. So definitely a solid pick with the LR Cell. Now, next up we have AGL Cell. He has an Android/Cell Saga leader skill, and then obviously gives the extra 30% to Android, so he has a 200% leader skill for basically all Cell units. So even if you had EZA'd the Int Cell, you could run this guy as the leader, and then run the Int Cell on the team, and obviously he's going to have higher stats and be even more effective. So this guy probably is the best leader for the team. He's not a good slot 1 unit in his first form when you're fighting against one enemy, but remember that EZAs are not the hardest events in the game, right? Even at stage 10, they don't stack up to like red zone bosses, so you should be perfectly fine to use Cell. You just can't really use them as a slot 1 unit, but he's definitely going to be very good and providing that 200% lead to a lot of these characters. So he probably is the top pick for the leader, even though he's not an LR. So worth considering using this guy. Then we have physical LR Cell. He's starting to be a little bit dated for some of the big harder bosses, but again, for an easy A, he's going to be perfectly fine. If you're getting his 24 key, if you're getting his 18 key super, then he gets extra defense when supering. So he can still be quite tanky, and him linked up with the int cell, regardless of whether you've done the int cell's easy A, like that rotation is a very effective one for events like this, even though neither of them are the best in slot 1. Again, easy A's being not as difficult, you definitely could get away with running them as a rotation, or you just have a tank, a different unit in slot 1, have one of these units in slot 2. Like if you have an easy A, the int cell, you can have this guy in slot 2, and then just have other cell units like the int one floating, so that he's picking up those links, especially used for ones like big bad bosses, and then he's going to be very, very effective. Plus, if you are struggling a little bit, you find you are taking quite a bit of damage, you can deliberately go for the 12 key super. He still is going to get some defense, and then you heal 12% as well. So that is obviously very useful in an easy A where you can't use items. So next up we have the LR androids. Very good free to play option for this. So kind of like the version Z Goku, they could be an option for like free to play if you really are lacking leaders, because they have 4 key and HP attack and defense 80%. Bit low, but obviously they are a free to play option. They provide a lot of support. They get their full passive active when you're fighting against a super class enemy, which obviously we will be. So definitely very, very good. They share decent links with some of the team. Not the best link partners for the cell units, but they do share some good links, and they are providing a lot of support. So they certainly are worthwhile, especially when we're running a team where we want to run a bunch of LRs, get that legendary power link, and they're giving 4 key and 50% defense. So definitely worth considering bringing these guys as a floating support unit. Next up we have Gohan himself. So even though this is his easy A event, so obviously you wouldn't have easy A'd him yet, he is on Android/Cell Saga. That's kind of the big difference between the Cell one and the Gohan one, is obviously Android/Cell Saga includes all of the characters, whether they're super or extreme. So you could actually use a very similar team for both of them. Because Gohan is on the category. I'm sure you can probably make a full Kamehameha team that is Android/Cell Saga. So just like I said in Cell's video, Gohan will actually be decent in this event, even pre-Easy A. So he's certainly worth considering. And then of course we have the Tech Gohan and Goku that could go alongside him. They link super well. They're obviously going to have type advantage in this event, as opposed to running them in the Cell one where they've got type disadvantage. So they're potentially going to be able to do quite a lot of damage to Gohan, whilst also having very good defense and type advantage. So very unlikely that they're going to get taken out even by a super attack potentially. So there are quite a few super units that are worth running. It just depends on how well you can put a full team together, because you don't really want to mix super and extreme. Although of course you could, right? You could have a Cell leader, you could have a Cell on rotation with him, and then on the other rotation have the super type units. It means your floating supports like the LR androids would obviously not be providing anything to these guys, but that is a way you could put the team together. So these guys will be very good. Can't use their active skill because you're probably never going to get to turn 7. Turn 5 if you're at 58% or less HP might be doable. And then their active skill would basically just finish off the fight. So definitely worthwhile considering. Then we have another super type unit that was not available for the previous one. The Future Gohan and Trunks LR. So these guys, obviously, Android/Cell Saga includes the, Trunks and Future Gohan versus the Androids arc. So these guys could be very, very good as well. Very strong unit. They create orbs. If you pick up a bunch of AGL orbs, then obviously they can be very, very powerful. You can exchange on the 3rd turn if you've lost a bit of HP. And then, of course, if you do exchange with them, you can basically get instantly killed as Future Gohan, revive. He then has his full passive active, and he is a very powerful unit. I still never understand why they went with this design, where for him to be at his peak, you have to die first. I don't really see, why give him a revival, but then they make it so that you have to get it straight away. But That's a whole other topic, right? But he's still very, very good. And then, of course, that opens up the door for the physical future Gohan. They work quite well together. Obviously, this Gohan wants to be run with a future Saga ally whose name includes Trunks, which will, of course, include the LR. So these guys could work well together, even though he's a TUR, so he's not going to be giving legendary power. But he's a good defensive unit, good unit overall, so he could be worthwhile running alongside these guys. I probably wouldn't run him without them. Especially if you're not running a Trunks on the team, but he could be a slot filler if you have no other options. Next up we have Heart Virus Goku. So Heart Virus Goku, very good for easy A's because obviously he is a very, very good tank, but only for the first like 5 turns, which, as I've already said, an easy A is not very likely to go on for longer than that. So he certainly can be very good. He does sacrifice you a bit of HP, and he does have built-in additionals, so he can cost you some HP as you go along, but it's obviously not the end of the world. It's not huge amounts. We also have units that have conditions based on HP, so it actually could work out being helpful in some circumstances. But this guy definitely going to be a very, very good slot 1 tank. Next up we have the LR Prime Battle Cell. So he still doesn't have his Easy A. Is he going to be the next one? I think he is. I'm definitely interested to see what his post-Easy A is going to look like. But even pre-Easy A here, a bit dated though he is, he's got type advantage. If you're running like a full Cell team with a lot of the LRs, then even though he has slightly different links to the Final Form cells, he's obviously going to fit in quite nicely. He has big bad bosses. He heals on his 12-key super, so he definitely can be quite useful. And of course, he is a free-to-play option, so definitely a good pick for some people. The only thing you have to remember is in Easy A's, you can't run same name units, so you wouldn't be able to run him and this cell at the same time because they have the same name. So that's something you will have to bear in mind. But if you're not running the AGL cell, you could run this guy. But as I said when we were talking about him, I think AGL cell probably is the best leader. So that kind of leaves this guy in the dirt, unfortunately. But if you're not running the AGL one, he can definitely be pretty good. Then we have this Tech World Tournament cell. Really good support unit. Has a chance to launch additionals only against multiple enemies, so he's not going to be getting that. But he's buffing extreme class allies, he's debuffing the super class enemies' defense, which obviously doesn't really do a huge amount, but he greatly raises defense on super, and he's going to have type advantage, so he's just a very solid floating 3rd slot tank. And then we could kind of say the same thing about this guy, the 50% support. I know a lot of people don't have these because they come back so rarely, and even when they do, it's usually at awkward times where it's not the best time to be summoning on like a random side banner. But if you do have him, there are a lot of good extreme tech options for this team, and he's giving them 50% support as well as creating tech orbs. Plus he does give all tech types 3 key, so if you're running like the LR, Goku and Gohan, he doesn't give them the 50% support, but if you're floating him, he does give them 3 key, which is still quite useful. So he could be pretty good. The only downside is, as someone who's had this unit only at 55%, like forever, he's not the best defensively, but he's in the right category, he's got type advantage, so he should be okay. The only thing's really going to do big damage to him is super attacks in the later stages, but even then, you shouldn't be getting one shot, so if you've got a lot of tech units on the team, he's definitely worth bringing. Speaking of tech units, we obviously have the future androids. I think, can you make a team out of their leader? All the cells on Worldwide Chaos? I actually can't remember, let's have a look. Yes, they are. So you could make a team using them as the leader, but either way, they're going to be good on the team, right? Like, they're on Cell's 200% lead. They create orbs. They're very powerful if you pick up a lot of tech orbs. But most importantly, they have the active skill to ghost usher an enemy for 1 turn, which you can use straight away when there's only 1 enemy, as long as they have 35% or more HP. So as long as these guys are appearing on turn 1 or 2, unless you do crazy damage, I guess, in the early stages on turn 1, you're going to be able to use their Ghost Usher basically every stage, right? So these guys are probably an auto-include on the team, even though they're not an LR, because they're creating orbs. You can Ghost Usher away the turn, they're just going to be very, very effective, and they are another extreme tech unit, so there's definitely a lot of synergy with a lot of the other units that we've talked about, so definitely a good pick, even though they're not an LR. Then we have Int 16. So Int Android 16 can be pretty good, right? Raises defense for 1 turn on super. He's got full defense when facing 2 or less enemies, and then he has a high chance to guard when all enemies in the same turn are Android/Cell Saga characters, which of course we're building the whole team to be Android/Cell Saga, so he's going to have that high chance to guard every time. Now obviously if it doesn't proc and he gets super attacked, especially in slot 1, he could take quite a bit of damage, but he is a very good option for the team, especially considering he is another free-to-play unit. So definitely very, very good. Fits in on the cell lead with all of the other androids, so definitely a very good pick for the team. It's good that there are a few really good free-to-play options, right? This guy, Prime Battle Cell, the LR androids, really, really good, right? So next up we have another version of 16 and 18. These guys were the side banner unit from, was it from Cell's banner? It was, right? So these guys are pretty good as a support. They're another unit that has a chance to guard, which is kind of annoying, but they are very solid. They provide 34% attack and 16% defense because there's going to be a super class enemy. So they're just a very good support that fits in well on the team. They're not really a top pick in any sort of way, but they're just kind of worth running on the team as a support if you don't have all the LRs to like fill out the team completely, right? So they certainly can be a solid option. Another one who probably is slightly better than them is the Giro and 19, because these guys are providing 40% support to all the androids allies. They're pretty good defensively after supering, and they recover 10% HP when they super attack, so that is obviously very, very good. If you're at 39% or less HP, they foresee the enemy super attacks. They absorb Ki Blast super attacks when you are and recover 39% of the damage. Sorry, it's not HP restriction. The HP restriction is only on the Scouter effect. So they absorb Ki Blast supers and recover 39% of the damage. So usually with these LR EZAs, by the time you get to the final stage, you will be fighting Super Saiyan 2 Gohan, who I assume will be doing the Father-Son Kamehameha as his super attack. He might be doing the 12 key, but I think in LR EZAs they do the 18 key as their attack. So that means that Giro and 19 will actually be able to absorb this and heal you, which is super useful. Because it was the androids I was getting confused with. They can also nullify Ki Blast super attacks, but only if you started the turn at 35% or more HP. So this is also very, very useful. Although with the type advantage, if you picked up enough orbs, they would be able to tank it anyway. But that's obviously very useful to consider. So Giro and 19, especially if Gohan is doing the Father-Son Kamehameha in the final stages, these guys will be very, very useful. So as you can see, there are a few good super options. I mean, this Trunks can be a good free-to-play option. He's better against multiple enemies. The Int Super Saiyan 2 Gohan could be pretty good. And physical Trunks could be fairly useful as well. Physical LR androids are a bit dated, but they do have a built-in ability to dodge, so they potentially could be useful. I probably wouldn't bring these guys, right, because they don't have a lot of good link partners and they're STR, so probably not the best choice. And when it comes to TURs, if you're building the team for the cell types, we've obviously talked about a lot of these units. You could run the free-to-play 17 to go along with these guys. You could run the old tech cell with his EZA. Bit outdated now, but at least he's got type advantage. When it comes to super types, there are a few that stand out. This guy, if you are running some super tech units, although realistically, when we look at these, I mean, these guys could be an okay support, but we're really talking about just the LR, but they could be there to give some support. This Super Vegeta, well, Super Saiyan Vegeta is actually pretty good as well. In Future Gohan's good for some support. This guy's good for the counters. Like, there are a few good super types, but I feel like the best way to build the team is really to lean more towards the extreme and go for the full cell team. I didn't mention this guy just because he's STR, but you could get away with using him as long as he's not taking loads of attacks or a super attack. So there's definitely a few options and a few different ways that you can build the team. So like I say, let me know down below if there's any units that I missed out that you think I should have talked more about, and let me know what your team build is going to look like for the AGL Gohan Extreme Z battle. So that is going to be it for the video, guys. This has been the Masked Ningen. Smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you are new. Check out the links down below for the Discord and the merch store, and I will see you all again soon. Have a good one.